Hey everybody, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It is I, Captain Logan, and joining me tonight, as always, is my chat moderator and also my son. It's Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Dad.
Good evening, everybody. I feel like it's been like a couple of weeks or more since the last time I saw anybody, and we did a broadcast. Been working real hard on the Superhero Rewind movie, and we had our biggest, most complicated shoot this weekend, I think, of the movie. And Jason, I think we are probably a solid 80-85% shot now.
I think so.
Maybe even closer to 90. And we got a lot done this weekend. Special thanks to Connor Nielsen, who came out from Portland, flew out on Friday, stayed with us all the way up until yesterday, which is part of why I didn't do any weekend streaming. We did some stuff on Friday, but we ended up doing like really pointless, random, just fun streams, which was a great time. But we were supposed to do a commentary on Wayne's World, and we got like 35 minutes in, and the stream just completely broke down. We were having all kinds of crazy problems with it. And we ended up having to just pivot to another random toast stream. So that's what we did, and we did some content for Patreon. So thanks everybody for bearing with us on that and popping in and hanging out with us with that. But yeah, Connor helped us out with a complicated fight sequence that we shot out at a farm this weekend, and we also did I had to rent a car for some stuff we're doing with the movie, and we shot a lot with that on Saturday. And it's just been, and then we even did some stuff yesterday, so just tons of filming for the movie. So if you've been wondering what I've been up to, because I haven't been streaming as much, I've still been actually working a great deal on content for the channel. It's just a very elaborate video, a single very elaborate video that we'll post sometime next year. But if you haven't heard us talk very much about this, the Superhero Rewind movie, it's called Superhero Rewind, the movie, and it will be available for free next year as a regular upload. Some of the folks that have, well, I guess actually everybody, that donated for the movie is going to get to see it early. I say everybody. I got to go back and look and see what the tiers are. It's been so long since we did that. I don't think it's everybody. I think everybody gets their name in the movie, but then I think there's a slightly higher tier that lets you get to see it early. I don't have that in front of me. I shouldn't have said that. I can't remember what exactly the breakdown is. But anyway, so we're really stoked for that. I'm trying not to give too much away about the movie, but I think I have suggested that it is in a way also a superhero movie, right? So is it giving away too much to say that we're not showing anybody what it looks like yet, but is it giving too much away to say that I have finally worn a superhero costume for the filming of this thing? We've been putting that together. It's gone through a couple different iterations. We've been working real hard on trying to figure out what that's going to look like, and we finally have shot with it. So that was fun, and I was able to see out of it and move a little better than I thought. So that's good. But anyway, we hope to tease more about that in the not too distant future. So that's a lot of what I'm working on right now. And anyway, tonight on the Captain Logan Show, welcome if you're watching live. Thanks a bunch. Thanks for watching after the fact as well. As always, tonight we're going to talk about the end of Phase 5. We're going to discuss some kind of minor news that we've... So no big giant bombshells from Comic-Con this weekend. What was it, New York Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get really big drops with that. And there wasn't anything huge. It was kind of just little like seeds, little teases at things. Like here are some dates going all the way to 2028 that MCU has dropped, and we know now that Blade is getting delayed again. Shocker. I don't even know how this is news at this point. Blade's release date has changed from what it was next year. Oh, really? They haven't even started shooting anything yet. I'm not sure that they have a workable script at this point. Do they even have a director right now? I can't keep up with all of this anymore. They've gone through like 45 and a half directors.
And a half?
Yeah. Because I'm going to assume there was a phone call where somebody said yes, and then a couple minutes later called back and said, nah, never mind. That's going to be the half.
That's the half.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna talk about the odd photo that Ryan Reynolds posted recently, suggesting that there's another Deadpool project on the horizon, which had me which got me talking to Austin, and that led to the idea for the lead-in topic tonight, which is the success of Deadpool and Wolverine guaranteeing, or is there at least a really good chance that they can turn things around now? And we've been tiptoeing around that. We've been talking about that quite a bit on the channel lately, but I wanted to kind of revisit that, look at the next couple of projects that are coming out, and whether we think those will do better or worse, and what has to be in them in order for people to be excited enough to return to the theater, and for Marvel to kind of get over the woes of Phase 4 and early Phase 5. And if we think people are gonna or are more likely to flock to the theater to these movies, more than they would have if it weren't for the rousing success of Deadpool and Wolverine, or is that another flash in the pan kind of thing like Guardians 3 was? Does it have the consumer confidence coming back? And so we're going to talk about that. And I've got a lot of other little news articles for tonight that we're going to bring up just real briefly as we go along. As always, if you want to make sure that your question is talked about during the show, we'll do a bunch of Q&A in the second half. We've already got a super chat. You can leave one of those, and that guarantees that your question or topic will be talked about. We want to say thanks a ton to everybody who has or ever will do that. You help the train keep running on time. Maybe not on time, but running. Here on Geekvolution, and if it is related to the news that we discussed at the beginning of the show in this first hour, we'll take our time going through all this news stuff. That'll be the first hour, besides the Patreon question here in a second. We will talk about Super Chats then, and if you leave Super Chats or comments that are about other things, we will log those and try to get to as many regular questions as we can in the second half, but definitely all the Super Chats in the second half. So you can leave a regular question as well in the comments. And thanks for just being here, even if you don't interact with us in that way, and make sure to tag at Jason, or at Video Game Secrets, or at Not a Real Football Fan. Because who even is John Madden anyway? He doesn't even look like an athlete. No, Jason is wearing a KC Chiefs hoodie, but we are not big football fans in this house. Why are you wearing that right now?
I just put it on because it's comfy.
Oh, is it kind of cold?
Yeah, it's getting kind of cold.
It's getting colder.
Yeah.
This is my favorite season of the year, but I also don't love the transition of I can wear shorts and a shirt and a t-shirt all the time, and then all of a sudden I got to put on a parka. And what's worse is if you had a really nice switch, yes, now we're talking about the weather. But if you had a really nice switch where it's just one day it's shirt and I don't know if there's any place in the world that works this way, but where one day it's t-shirt and shorts, and you wake up the next morning and it is 25 degrees, and you go, that's it. The next 3 months or half a year, this is the kind of wardrobe I'm going to be wearing. But no, not in the Midwest especially. What it's more like is you wake up and you wear your parka, and then in the middle of the day, you're back to a t-shirt and shorts. And then when the sun goes down, you get right back to the parka.
Yeah.
It's sort of like having an umbrella in your car. You have to always make sure you've got layers just everywhere. Just like in your trunk, in various random places in your house, just in case. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It sneaks up on you.
It does.
Anyway, welcome everybody. Jason's already bored with the show. He just fell asleep sitting here. Did you guys see that?
Oh, weather.
Okay, so the first super chat we got is not related to the news that we're dealing with, so we'll tackle that a little bit later. Let's go ahead and get right into. Oh, you know what? Once again, Jason, I forgot to set this up where people will be able to see the news, but let me rig that up real quick. So apologies for the black screen, but at least you can see us in the corner here. Hello. How's it going? Okay, so as I alluded to a minute ago, Ryan Reynolds shared this photo today with the actress, I don't even know her name right off the top of my head, who plays Blind Al in Leslie Uggams. I don't know if I ever knew that. But anyway, the set, what's that?
I don't think I ever knew that either.
Oh, I think you said I don't care.
I don't care.
She's fun, and I always thought she was perfect casting. I wish she got a little bit more to do in those movies, but I'm glad she's in them because that was a character I liked quite a bit in the original, or not the original one, but the the monthly, what's his face? It'll come to me. My brain's not firing on all cylinders today. Yeah. Anyway, what is that run? Why is his name not coming to me? Anyway, yeah, it's great, and she's one of my favorite parts of it. So, the immediate thing I thought when I saw this was Joe Kelly, the Joe Kelly run. The first thing I thought when I saw this was, and Austin sent me this today, and he had similar thoughts, was, are we just doing Once Upon a Deadpool again? Because some people, of course, jump at the gun, and I don't know why, like, nothing against anybody, I don't know why people get, like, overly excited about things like this, where it's really obvious.
It's a picture.
You had some people immediately going, oh my god, they're already making another Deadpool movie. And you're like, does nobody understand how these things work? Like we don't immediately go in. They weren't filming a Deadpool 3 and 4 back to back.
Yeah. It's not like Matrix.
There's a Christmas tree in the background. Well, we'll talk about things not being back to back a little bit later. But there's a Christmas tree in the background. It looked like probably a one-day shoot, the way he was talking about it. So the first thing, that might not be, but that's sure the way it seemed like he was talking about it on Instagram. So my immediate thought was, we're doing Once Upon a Deadpool again. So probably a way to repackage the movie, make it PG-13 again, just like we did with Deadpool 2, get it back in the theater. And that is honestly wicked smart of them if that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Before I get to my theory about what this probably is and why it's probably a smart move, even though Christmas again seems odd to me, let me talk about the other theory, which is it could be a Christmas special for Disney Plus. That was the thing Austin suggested. I've seen other people throwing that out there too, and I think that's unlikely. Partly because it sounded like a one-day shoot to me, and two, because it seems to be shooting now, and we would have had an announcement by now if we were going to get a Christmas special for Christmas this year, and it seems like a really odd time to shoot a Christmas special for the following year. Yeah. You'd think you'd be filming that in summer.
Yeah.
Or early fall at the latest. But I would think that's unlikely. And also, if they were going to do a Christmas special, you would think that they would shoot it like the Guardians Christmas special, where they do it like during the shoot of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like they just did this. So I think it's a lot more likely that they are about to kind of sleeper drop or announce very soon before they release in the theater, which I think is how Once Upon a Deadpool went. A new PG-13 cut right around the holiday season so that kids can see it. Like they did with Deadpool 2. And my feelings on exposing kids to Deadpool in any form, notwithstanding, I'm not going to get back through all of that again. It is, business-wise, ultra super smart. For two reasons. A, the movie made $1.3 billion. And if you can repackage it in such a way where people are curious enough about the new kind of bookend footage, my guess is just like the guest star actor that they had with Once Upon a Deadpool, the guy from Christmas Story, Fred Savage. So that's what tonight's going to be like, folks. It's going to be 20 seconds of me just explaining a thing before I remember someone's name, and then I'll remember the name.
Fred Savage was in Once Upon a Deadpool?
Yeah, I'll show it to you. It's funny.
Okay.
But I liked it fine. It's not the cut of that movie that I would want to watch, but it was fun seeing once, and I did go to the theater to see it. And if they do this, I'll go again, because I like Deadpool versus Wolverine, or versus, it could have been called that, Deadpool and Friend quite a bit. When Austin sent me his message, he was like, oh, is it going to be Once Upon a Deadpool and Friend? I was like, that's what they should call it. What would be really amusing, sorry, I'm all over the place, is if they call it Once Upon a Deadpool 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
That would be pretty funny.
It'll be a Deadpool and Wolverine story.
Yeah, but anyway, so my guess is she's the stand-in for him, and he's telling her the story of what happened in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And if they do that, it will probably do really well again, because people will love the excuse to go to the theater again, to see, what the silly edits will be in like bleeping language and all of that. That was a lot of the fun with Once Upon a Deadpool, was kind of artificially creating a TV version and then putting it in the movie theater with just what's the censorship.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun, and I don't mind doing that gag again. I don't need it to be Christmas again.
Yeah.
I would have made
I don't
it
know
a
why it
different
was
thing.
Christmas in the first place.
If they'd gotten their ducks in a row, I guess they could have made it like a Halloween thing, but then it's probably too soon after it was in the theater, because that stayed theatrical for quite a while. Maybe wait and put it out 2 or 3 months into 2025. Maybe get really silly and make it like an Easter thing, like make a big deal out of a holiday that's not that big of a deal, or make it like a Mother's Day or a Father's Day thing, or... I don't know. I guess you could have made it a Father's Day thing. You could have played into the Laura angle on it. Mm-hmm. I guess.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm spitballing. And he's done things with Valentine's Day before, but that movie's not really a love story. Well, except they should have done it Valentine's Day, because they've got hearts all over the advertising.
That's a good point.
Now that I'm thinking about it, they tried to play it, and there's all the like. Kind of gay sex jokes and stuff all through that movie, where they're making a big deal out of like Logan and Deadpool are really in love, and so they could have done a Valentine's re-release for PG-13. That's what they should have done.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, now I might be wrong, and that's not what they're doing at all. And it's also possible that they're just shooting a thing. I just thought of this. It's possible what they're shooting isn't even to be released in the theater. It could be something they're just doing for the Blu-ray, or some other odd cut they're going to put on Disney Plus. I mean, anything's possible. Yeah. But if they missed the opportunity to re-release it with new footage in the theater, I will be surprised.
Yeah.
Because they even did it with No Way Home.
Did they?
Yeah, they did a slightly longer cut, and there wasn't enough added in that I felt the need to go to the theater to see it. So I've not seen 2 minutes of footage they added back in. And it also had a really stupid name. So I avoided it just on the principle of that was a dumb name, which I don't usually do. I mean, usually superhero stuff I always go, but it was such little extra footage. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, so that's my speculation about that. What do you think it's likely to be, Jason?
I
will it be the re-release?
I think that's the most believable thing I've heard. For this is it's like Once Upon a Deadpool 2. And that seems the most logical approach to go.
The Nightmare Before Deadpool.
The Nightmare Before Deadpool.
I'm trying to think of other possible Christmas titles. Sorry, go ahead.
The Deadpool Before Wolverine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Now he's thinking.
Yeah. The problem is it's Disney and Marvel, so will they do the most logical choice that we've come up with? No. I don't know.
Yeah, they've done a lot of kind of counterintuitive things, but again, No Way Home did re-release because it was so popular.
And that
they knew they
makes
could
me
squeeze a little bit more water out of that stone.
That makes me think that maybe this will be this.
This will be this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That this will be what you're saying.
You know, the reason I hired you for the show is because of how articulate you are.
I'm very articulate.
I forgot to do the Patreon question.
Yep.
Which we usually lead with.
I forgot about that.
Sorry about that. Well, why don't we finish the lead-in topic, and then we'll do the Patreon question. I forgot how our show works.
Yeah.
I'm a little out of it today, guys, but I'm doing my best. Okay, so it was a crazy shoot this weekend. So anyway, that led me to think to again this lead-in topic, which Austin helped me come up with. So thanks to Austin, because he sends me a message as we're going back and forth, and he goes, "Do you think with Marvel putting less out this year that it will wet palates and get people more excited again, and the next movies will do well. And my response to that was, well, if they're good, yes. And obviously, if they're good, they'll do okay anyway, because, like, a lot of people are not as happy with Marvel as they once were. I still don't think it's unsalvageable. I don't think the Marvels, like, ruined everything, but it proved that they're not in a can-do-no-wrong place anymore.
Yeah.
Certainly. And there are people, certainly, that have jumped ship and that just don't buy the internal logic of the world anymore. At the very least, are no longer invested.
Yeah.
As they once were. But you put the right singular thing out, like a Guardians 3, like a Deadpool and Wolverine, and people will certainly go back and try it again. And I think that not just having less this year to make people, kind of miss it, or at least to have the last not great thing they saw be more of a distant memory when they go again. The fact that the one thing they put out this year did make a lot of people happy. Not that everybody liked it, not that everybody even wanted it to be a thing. Obviously, there's people upset that Hugh Jackman would come back after Logan to play Wolverine again. There are certainly people that just don't like Deadpool as a character, that don't need the self-parody thing on the level that movie is doing it. What I appreciate about it is that I feel like the MCU has by and large degenerated into self-parody, so it's nice to have that one movie that was self-aware and not that I want all of them to be like this, obviously not, but in the right way, in that it's not, that movie is not full of itself.
Yeah.
With MCU. It's not going, this stuff is still great. Deadpool has this wonderful 2-minute speech about how crappy it is now.
Yes.
And you've come at a low point, and this multiverse thing was a bad idea. Like, when they get self-aware, they're still too, they're too in love with themselves. They're making out with themselves on screen. And it was nice to see somebody else allowed to come into the sandbox and say what a lot of us have been thinking. But it wasn't MCU doing that. It was Ryan Reynolds and his company being allowed to play with the toys.
Yeah.
And now that they're not in it, and we're going to go back to the usual suspects or whoever Kevin Feige decides to hire for things, will the next couple projects feel too much like, vestiges of the old way we were doing things? Will it be like a lot of the DCEU was, where it feels like things that were put in a drawer for too long were already past that by the time they come out? Like, that's kind of a worry. So I think and I've said this before, that if the projects coming up and the next couple were, largely done, you know what I mean? So they're going to have to get lucky. The quality has to be really good. But if, especially beyond Phase 5, Marvel learns the right lessons from Deadpool and Wolverine, let it have its own style, its own panache, put, entertainment first, don't just make assembly line stuff, give us something, in whatever way, a little new, a little inventive, a little bit fresher, take the right kinds of risks, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while to turn the whole ship around, but there are but you can at least get us excited. I'm gonna try to make this metaphor work. It's gonna be hard to turn the entire ship around, but you can at least get us excited to visit certain decks of it. Sure. And then maybe eventually we'll be happy to be living on the whole ship, and we won't be avoiding, certain areas, certain rooms. So I think a lot of people realized that this was that kind of like Guardians, this was an exception. But I think a lot of other people are going to go, yay, Marvel's back. And Marvel has to capitalize on that in the right way. So moving forward, getting to the end of Phase 5, we've got 2 projects. And then we get immediately into Phase 6 with Fantastic Four First Steps. Yes. However you feel about that title. And Austin suggested that it's kind of unfortunate that the very next thing coming out wasn't First Steps, because, and I agree with him, because that would have been such a nice, just sort of reset.
Yeah.
Like, that looks like a very different thing than they've made. It's a different kind of thing than they've kind of property in the first place than they've done anything with in a long time. It's a period piece, but we've got to go back and play with toys that have been in the box for a long time that we've been dealing with before we get to that. So Jason, do you think that because Deadpool and Wolverine did well, and because there wasn't anything else this year, that there will be more curiosity, more interest about Captain America? Or will it make no difference at all?
I think it'll make maybe like this much of a difference. Because here's the thing, Captain America seems like one of those MCU movies where it's like you have to have been invested through all this, and like you have to have been invested through Falcon and Winter Soldier and whatever else they're doing, and Deadpool and Wolverine felt just like, oh hey, remember,
if you like the Deadpool movies,
if you like Wolverine, if you like the Fox X-Men movies.
And so you're right, there was a barrier to entry, but of stuff that was big and proven, tried and true years ago. So that gets back into legacy sequel material.
Yeah.
And you're right, this stuff is, have you been looking at it lately? What do you think somebody that watched the trailer for Brave New World and hadn't seen any of the Disney Plus stuff does with that? Like, does it look like, oh no, there's prerequisite and I just didn't care about any of that? Or do they go, oh, I didn't realize like Sam Wilson was going to be Captain America? Or, do they go like somebody else in that role? Or do they go, Harrison Ford was cool? Or do they go, oh yay, black Captain America? Well, like what are...
These are different, like... different people will say all these things.
Sure.
But I feel like there's a difference between, because what you were saying, right, is like people aren't as invested now in the previous like Phase 4 and 5. But the whole thing with Deadpool and Wolverine was, like we said, kind of, a decades later sequel kind of to the Fox X-Men films, which people were invested in, and the Deadpool films, which some people were invested in. And
of course, they all lost interest after Days of Future Past, and especially after Apocalypse, but the last thing people really remember is Logan.
Right.
Like Dark Phoenix was after that, and it made no money in the box office. And I bet there are people that went to Logan that don't even know Dark Phoenix exists.
Yeah, probably. I think more people...
There are days I have to remind myself that is a thing.
Why would you ever remind yourself of that?
Well, sometimes it'll come up and I'll be, oh, that's right, that was a movie that I saw that was both too short and I'm glad.
I can't tell what's even... I don't even remember a frame from that movie. Like, I can't tell you anything that happens in that.
Oh, I do, because I remember Mystique's
I do remember that, actually.
In the X-Men suck speech. I remember that.
I do remember that, actually. But I do think...
John just said, I wish I didn't know that movie existed.
I do think people might be more excited for Fantastic Four after Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. So do you think if you're Marvel, do you just hold to your guns and go, whatever the next two movies do, those are mulligans. We look forward past that.
Yeah, I think.
And I wonder
that's Captain America and Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah, and and I didn't mention Thunderbolts, but I said that there's two projects, and I also wonder, are they doing any tweaking? I don't mean drugs. I mean, are they tweaking anything behind the scenes because of how successful the last thing they did was?
I don't know. What would they even do, right?
Well, it's hard to say.
You mean like for the future?
No, I mean for these movies, because I mean they're not out yet. They've still got them in the can. Like
I just don't really know what they would do.
They're notorious for third act reshoots.
Yes. We
know Brave New World was completely redone, or like 80%. A lot of it was reshot.
Yeah.
There's question as to whether the guy that directed that should even count as the director anymore.
Wow. I actually didn't know
Which gives me a little bit more hope for it, because that was made by the guys that did Falcon and Winter Soldier. and it's been retooled. So I think there's a chance it's a lot better than it would have been.
Yeah.
It sounds like the exact same thing happened with that did with Born Again. But Born Again is a crazier, taller order because they had to remake. Like they shot half that show before they went back.
It's a show.
I think that's what I'm
not
saying.
A movie, yeah.
Yeah, and it's 18 episodes, or it was. I don't know what the count's going to be now.
Oh wow, it was supposed to be 18.
It was supposed to be 18 episodes.
Wow.
If memory serves. I'm going off of months old memory, but
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Well, we all know that Phase 4 and 5, as we've continued to say,
Yes.
have not been as well received, and people have not had as much of a vested interest in. But just for fun,
Yeah.
let's prove it with numbers, shall we?
Oh, sure.
So I was looking at this today, and you look at the. Oh, hold on. I gotta flip this over. I've got this on the wrong browser. Hang on. So you, apologies for politics showing up on my front page. So this is Phase 4. You look at this on the Wikipedia page, and Phase 4.
Stop looking at Wikipedia for your.
Well, it gives me the budgets in the box office.
Yeah.
So according to Wikipedia, the budget, I've never looked at this. The overall budget, Jason, for the 7 films.
Yes.
So keep in mind, we are comparing more and then fewer films so far when we look at this. Let me also just grab the link for the other one real quick. The overall budget. Hold on, we'll look at that later. For the 7 movies in Phase 4, totaled 1.46 to 1.54 billion. And the box office for all of them was 5.712 billion, and that is including Spider-Man No Way Home, which did a fifth of that all by itself.
Yeah.
Because that movie did $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that included and you'll all remember, I'm sure, which of these did the bulk of the percentages here.
It wasn't Wakanda Forever.
But we had Black Widow, which did not even go to the theater.
Oh,
so that
yeah, I guess it didn't.
Or it had a real limited release.
Yeah.
If it did.
I still have never seen that movie.
We'll watch it at some point. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's very memorable. Shang-Chi, which did okay. Eternals, which didn't perform as well as they wanted to, but it didn't bomb spectacularly in the way the Marvels did. And then you had No Way Home, which did ridiculous amounts of money, and you had Multiverse of Madness, which did just fine.
Yeah.
Compare that, then, to where we are at the moment with Phase 5. And again, this is not entirely fair. I'm sorry, give me a second. I just have this set up wrong. This was a really good idea in my head. Okay, so then with Phase 5, what we're looking at with 4 movies so far is a budget of about $1 to $1.5 billion. And in total, the 4 movies we've had so far have made $2 billion, which means Deadpool and Wolverine took half of that. And Guardians 3 took the majority of the other half of that.
Oh,
which means the 2 projects, and by the way, Phase 4 had nothing like this. Guardians 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine, neither of them, as we keep saying, are indicative of the greater whole. They're both exceptions. Are they exceptions that prove the rule? I still don't even totally know what that means. But they are both exceptions that feel like singular pieces that are, still in that universe, and in Deadpool's case, very much about the universe, but they're their own animals, right? And those are the things, and you could make the case for No Way Home to some degree with Phase 4. A lot of people went to see that for characters from other movies. So in a way it has that, but it's still very, very MCU, right? Anyway, so that means that 2 of the 4 movies of Phase 4 or Phase 5 carried movies that didn't do as well. So what's interesting is it's easy to look at where Marvel is right now and go, oh god, the whole thing is a gigantic failure now. And thanks to Deadpool and Wolverine, Phase 5 now, on paper, monetarily, is objectively no longer a failure. Yeah. That movie made up for the failures of the Marvels and of, to a lesser degree, Quantumania, which still didn't do great, and people were not happy with, but it was not the magnificent flop that the Marvels was. Now, Disney on the whole has been putting out stuff that nobody cares about, and they have not been making very much money. But the couple of things they've done lately that have actually made money have been Marvel things. And that makes Phase 5 not a complete disaster. Even though, to a lot of fans, it has been. So I just mean monetarily, just as far as box office receipts go. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not totally fair to compare them, because Phase 4 had 3 more movies than Phase 5 has so far. So it could become, percentage-wise, much more of a flop if Brave New World doesn't do very well, and if Thunderbolts flops, and that could go either way. I think Thunderbolts is going to be a lot about word of mouth, because there are characters in that movie that people really like, but I think people are going to be kind of trepidatious about going to the theater to see that. That looks like a thing that maybe should have been a Disney Plus show in the first place, and I wonder how many people are going to look at that and go, why didn't they just make that a series and just put it on Disney Plus in the first place? What do I have to go to the theater to see that? So I don't know how that's going to do. I think Brave New World, between the 2 of them, has the better chance at turning a pretty good profit. But anyway, my point is, Phase 4 has done more than 3 times its initial budget of the 3, and Phase 5 has only doubled.
Yeah.
But it has doubled.
Yeah.
So it has made money.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, I wonder, like, how far up that number will go with, like, how far up do you think that number will go with Captain America and Thunderbolts?
It's hard to say, and versus how much they spent on them.
Right.
I think any way you slice it, they probably lose a little bit of money on at least one of those movies. Mm-hmm. I think. It's hard. Well, it's hard to say. Or maybe one will break even, or maybe they'll both turn at least something of a profit. But I don't think that $2 billion number goes up much past $2 billion. I think it could hit 2.5. Well, I mean, okay, between them, can they do $1 billion? Can each of those movies do close to 500 apiece? I don't know. I don't see Thunderbolts doing 5. I see Thunderbolts doing Ant-Man numbers.
I see. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
But Brave New World, if it's good,
yeah,
it could do 6 or 7.
Yeah,
I don't see it doing any better than that, but it could do 6. It could do 5 to 6 to 7.
Yeah, it could.
Well, let's go ahead and move on now. And if folks are saying interesting things in the comments, Jason, sure, feel free to stop me and throw those things out.
John says Marvel's fall off after Endgame should be studied.
Yeah, but it also could kind of come back. But they gotta. I just think the whole thing needs an attitude adjustment, and I've been saying that. Feige's got to acknowledge what the problems are.
Yes.
And he has acknowledged there are problems, but I have really agreed with him on what they are, is the thing. And so I don't have a ton of faith that they will learn the right lessons from Deadpool and Wolverine overall, but maybe. All he's got to do is give the movies to real storytellers and kind of get out of the way and just facilitate it in making sure that the continuity all works out if you want it to all be in the same universe, and to get the right heads together in deciding what the big story points are going to be if you want to keep doing the building story ideas. But when you have those mandates in place, letting directors and writers tell stories around it that kind of gets out of their way. And they more or less did that in the first 3 phases. And they got to get more back to that.
Yeah.
And they got to stop screwing with it at the 11th hour. Like get real sure and confident with a script and then shoot it, and then stop worrying so much about you look at a third act after it's already completely done and you go, oh god, I don't know about this, let's totally reshoot it. Like, you've got to more or less know what you're making before you I don't understand how I'm not being very articulate. I don't understand how you get all the way to the shooting stage before you decide, no, wait, this whole third act has to be scrapped. I get showing it to test audiences and certain things not really playing, but the sheer number of times they've completely redone a third act is really odd to me.
Yeah.
I raise my eyebrow every time. I don't understand why it keeps happening.
Yeah.
But anyway, so other things we know right now after New York Comic Con, again, no big exciting news or anything, mostly just kind of house cleaning stuff. So as I alluded to a bit ago, Blade has been removed from Marvel's release schedule. What a shocker. But the most curious thing about this to me is that they're also apparently, is it here? Hold on. We'll get to all these things. Okay, I'm not finding the article I had for this. But anyway, they're apparently fast-tracking Midnight Suns.
Yes.
Which is a thing that includes Blade. So I don't know if the idea is they're going to do Midnight Suns before Blade and then introduce him in that movie, or
like
introduce
Black Panther and Civil War,
which is not a bad idea necessarily. But I love this idea that we've gone through 60 directors. We can't get to a script that we really like for this. Now we've had Blade and Deadpool and Wolverine, like the original Blade, and people liked Snipes in that. And now we're like, we don't know if we should make that, or if we should make this other Blade that we've been trying to make, or if we should do both, maybe at the same time, or maybe do some kind of like. Nobody's saying this. I just had this thought. Maybe do some kind of like stupid multiversal crossover film where you do a pass the torch from one Blade to the other
That's
Blade.
what I was gonna say.
But so it's possible that Midnight Suns introduces Blade, or it's possible that it just creates a sandbox for that character to play in. But that was surprising news to me, that they want to rush that movie.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that could end up happening before Blade does.
Yeah.
Which is really odd. We also know now that Avengers Doomsday is gonna start shooting next spring. This is a comic movie, and that it will in fact not be shooting back to back like Infinity War and Endgame did.
Wow.
And that's curious to me, because, and I thought maybe they would, because those movies are clearly related things. It really felt like, and I've said this before, but it really felt like the same thing where where they were going to maybe feel like a 2-part movie that still sort of stood alone. They're both being directed by the Russos, so the formula looked really similar. And it looks like Secret Wars is going to be another kind of big ender, just like Endgame was. And this time, maybe full-on soft rebooting the universe. So, what do you think the reason is, Jason, to not shoot them back-to-back? And, I mean, I don't even think that there's there's supposed to be that much space time-wise between them.
Yeah.
So, like, what are they going to wait?
Well, the question is, how long is the wait going to be?
Well, I thought it was supposed to be a year.
Okay. I mean...
So I would think you'd have to start shooting pretty soon. And I would think maybe the smarter way to do these movies would be to shoot them at the same time.
Yeah.
So even not doing it back-to-back, I'm really surprised by that, honestly.
Yeah. Do they... I mean, how many other movies are they doing in between?
I would have to look. Give me a second. Let me look at Phase 6 here in what we know so far, because we know that there's supposed to be like 3 movies at least in 28. Let me look here. So 6 begins, as we know, with Fantastic Four, and then you're gonna have. Okay, so that's what I thought. So Doomsday and Secret Wars are supposed to come out almost exactly a year apart, with nothing in between, unless they end up getting Midnight Suns or something else in between those movies. Yeah. Like, this is all we know so far, but like I said, they just put out release dates for stuff in 28, but I don't know about anything else in 25 to 26 to 27 besides the end of Phase 5. So, like, is the idea that we're in, and I'm very, very okay with this, if the idea is I just do 1 or 2 a year for a while until we, like, kind of get our feet, or the ground back beneath our feet, and just do the big event films and get our interest back.
I'm fine with that.
My guess is we don't shoot them back to back because, and I don't know if this gives you enough time to make enough changes, is the thing. Because, like, you've only got a year. They have to be prepping a lot for Secret Wars while they're making Doomsday, even if they're not back to back. But my guess is they want to see what the response is to Doomsday before they decide exactly what Secret Wars is going to look like. So maybe they'll have a skeleton for it. Maybe they'll have the cast signed on and a lot of stuff made and prepped. But let's say, because this is uncharted territory, we're going to have a whole new crop of Avengers, or a lot of a new crop that haven't been seen as Avengers before and are kind of unproven characters in popularity. You don't have an Iron Man or a Black Panther or a Captain America left. And so you assume that team is going to be mostly kind of a young Avengers team. So my thinking is, if they're throwing in Kate Bishop and maybe America Chavez and Miss Marvel, et cetera, my guess is, because some of these things have been more popular than others, and some of them have not done super well, but fans seem to like them okay. We're in a different place than we were with the Avengers movies. So my guess is they go, let's not make them back to back so that we can see what characters the fans are latching onto and which ones they're not, and then we can decide who's going to get how much screen time and all of that. And it could even be, let's see if people actually accept the Downey thing with Doctor Doom to decide how much he's going to feature in the next one.
Yeah.
I think it's all play it safe, wait and see stuff.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. That's my immediate guess, because that news was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah. And we got a question from Goofster123. What movie gets the Downey Doom post-credits scene? My money is on Thunderbolts.
Is that a super chat?
No.
Oh. Well, then I will not gong that. Good question, though.
I think Fantastic Four. I mean, that is a movie that they are probably hoping to get more money on. So maybe they can put some of a bigger budget on a cameo from Downey.
I'm wondering if it's possible that Doom doesn't even feature a little bit in that movie beyond an after credits scene, and they're keeping that under their hats.
Yeah, could.
I mean, that's possible.
Yeah.
Although if you wanted to make a big secret out of that, you'd think that you'd think that you just wouldn't tell us about it, but maybe they figure it's Downey, we can't really keep that under our hats.
Right.
So we're not going to try. I also still think it's kind of possible that you've got multiple universe Dooms and Downey is just one of them, but they're making such a big deal out of Downey as that character that's maybe not what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, you're probably right. I don't think we do in after credits that has anything to do with Doomsday, Downey or otherwise, until we get to Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Setting
up the big end of the multiverse saga.
Yeah.
What else are folks saying in the comments about this?
We've got Dan's Den. Blade is about to pass The Flash as the film that is most cursed to constantly switch directors.
That's it, yeah. I mean, it's really unusual to have a thing like this that's in development hell for this reason.
Yeah.
We're like, we just cannot get a director that'll sign on.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's never happened, but it's curious with stuff that's this high profile. Where more often it's like it's rights things, or it's the studio won't sign off on a script, or we can't get an actor to commit. And like sometimes you have this with directors, but not this long, this many.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy. And I mean, it is weirder when it's a movie that gets made, or that at least gets shot, and then it's years before it finally comes out. But yeah, The Flash, it was like, wasn't it 7, 8, 10 years?
Yeah.
From when it was announced, and even from when we knew it was supposed to be based on Flashpoint, and then even from when we knew Keaton was supposed to be in it, to before it finally shot, to before it finally came out. Because that one had both, where it couldn't get a director, and it couldn't get going, and then it got made, and then it took a long time from that before it came out. So it had both. It had this Blade thing retroactively, and it also had the New Mutants thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me run through some other articles just here real briefly. And if folks want to talk more about this after the break, we totally can. Sure. Vincent D'Onofrio says Daredevil Born Again features a first for Disney+. Spoilers, he's talking about F-bombs. So, apparently, Daredevil is finally going to allow F-bombs. Curiously, in the Netflix show, we never had that. As violent and rough as that got, they had like a F-bomb embargo.
Yeah.
And now they're just going to full on do that. So it's weird how far the pendulum has swung from Netflix, Daredevil, and all those shows get canceled. And then Feige says, don't worry, we're going to bring Daredevil back, but it's going to be something different. Which was code for, we all thought, PG-13, more kind of sanitized Daredevil, probably with a different actor, probably completely recast, all the way to they started making probably more or less that show, but with that actor, to now they're trying to out Netflix.
Yeah.
Is it possible this show is as good as, you know, the best of that show? I'll be surprised if it is. Is it possible it will at least watch, like, authentic and connected enough to that? I hope so.
Yeah.
But, you know, F-bombs don't immediately make me go, yay, it's rough and tumble. It's that show. It is kind of odd that we bring it back and suddenly people are swearing like that when they hadn't before.
Yeah.
But it also being a soft reboot in its way, not in continuity necessarily, but just in, they are trying to go with a somewhat different flavor. It's supposed to be years later. If it is a little darker somehow and it matches that, then that does make sense. But
yeah.
I don't immediately hear that and go yay or nay.
Originally, when I saw that news, it looked like there was only going to be one F-bomb in the whole show. Or that was what people were saying.
That's not what it sounds like.
But it sounds like it's going to actually be like...
You know what? I think it's going to be like Logan. I think it's going to open with like 18 F-bombs. It's like, okay, we get it. You're allowed to swear now.
Did you see the
Nicholas Bodo says Punisher says F you in season 2. I forgot about that. But we didn't in Daredevil. I don't think at all. Unless it happened in third season and I don't remember it. Because I only saw that once.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see the number when someone
Sorry, Austin. Daredevil is gonna say I want my effing costume as a cliffhanger for the episode before he suits up again.
That would be awesome. Are we gonna get Bullseye in Born Again?
I think they've said he's supposed to come back.
Okay.
Are you aware of Bullseye in season 3?
No.
Yeah, they did do Bullseye in that show. Yeah. He does not have an effing costume, which is hilarious. I just love that we got an origin for Bullseye through an entire season, and he doesn't get his effing costume.
Yeah. But yeah, did you see someone counted, this was a few months ago after Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and someone counted all the F-bombs in Deadpool and Wolverine, and they were like, okay, we finally got F-bombs in the MCU. Guardians 3 has 1. Deadpool and Wolverine has 118.
There are now 119 total F-bombs in the MCU, and they're almost entirely from one film.
Yes.
But of course they are. Well, folks, we got about 5 minutes before the break. Jason, why don't you just scroll through real quick, and I'll help you, and we'll just see if anybody's saying anything that we should respond to about the Marvel stuff we've been talking about. Before we go to break, I've got some other little news articles that I might hit when we come back. But since we've just stayed MCU this whole hour, I'll keep it that way.
Austin says, I imagine Doomsday and Secret Wars will be a nightmare to film with a ton of stand-ins.
Yeah, probably so.
And a bunch of... do you think...
But especially if they wait too long to start filming Secret Wars. I really don't understand that when you have them coming out a year apart.
Yeah.
But sorry, what were you going to say?
Do you think they'll just bring in a bunch of, like, CGI extras?
I don't think they'll do that. Well, it's possible that surely they'll learn from Flash. That's a bad idea. But I guess it's possible that you could have kind of the Ready Player One thing where we do like a wide shot at some point just to establish like there's a bunch of merger things happening from other universes. And especially in Secret Wars, if it's the Doctor Doom creates Battle World thing, where I don't even have a problem with this. I could see there being kind of a big CG shot of just a bazillion characters like on a horizon that you don't have to cast.
Yeah.
Like as long as they don't get dialogue and as long as it's not like Nick Cage Superman like standing there staring out into space for 30 seconds. Like
yeah, and it's not like right up to the camera.
I could see them doing that. But is it likely to be the CW Crisis thing where you'll have cameos where you have a character kind of like awkwardly standing in a partial set that says like one-off line and then you skip to the next one of those? Yeah, maybe they could do some of that. I think they're a lot more likely to just shoot a lot, like Austin is saying, a lot of like individual singular actors that are supposed to be in a room together. Or they might do what they did with Deadpool and Wolverine and pick a few, but not play it funny, and like pick the 5 or 6 that they decide they're gonna let actually kind of have arcs or have moments.
Sure.
And that's what I hope they'll do with it.
Yeah.
If they've gotta do the Deadpool and Wolverine thing and have characters from other franchises outside of MCU. I think it's also entirely possible that there's a lot less of that than we're expecting, especially since we just kind of had our fill of that with Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was handled so well there as a joke. Yeah. I still say it would be such a big mistake on Feige's part if they come back and they completely miss the point of that gag, and they do some of the really sappy cheeseball things that Deadpool and Wolverine was making fun of, and they play it earnestly. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, you can't have the really obvious one-liner callbacks. You have to actually do something with those characters. Yeah. You know, if you're gonna have like Nick Cage Ghost Rider come back, he can't just be standing there eating jelly beans with like a zoom in on the jelly bean. Do you remember the jelly beans? Like you can't do that. He's got to come in and do something cool.
Yeah.
If they're gonna do that, I think it is just as likely that, and Austin doesn't agree with this. He thinks that they're going to go full tilt, whole 9 yards, characters from other Marvel franchises. Entirely plausible, and likely even. I think it's also entirely plausible that they do less of that than we're thinking, or none of that at all, and they do what we did with Multiverse of Madness just to the 9s, where it's a bunch of alternate versions of the characters we know already. Maybe it'll be a blend of both, but we know that they're likely to bring back Chris Evans, Captain America from another universe, and things like that. And they're gonna have Downey already with Doctor Doom, and I think the odds of our not having Downey at least cameoing as an Iron Man from another universe is like zero. Like, I think that's absolutely going to happen.
Yeah. Do you think Howard the Duck is going to come back?
Yeah, I mean, why not? But will it be like an animatronic Howard the Duck to go back to the '86 movie? I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Could be.
But it's just as likely that it'll just be the one we've had already.
Yeah. But like he's actually fighting. That would be funny.
Yeah. He's got a gun or something.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and go to
That's
break.
A duck, man.
That's a duck, man. When we come back, we're going to do the Next Generation segment. Jason's going to do an album review for us, and I think that's what you're doing tonight, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll do Q&A for much of the rest of the hour, and we're going to do rants tonight as well. So stick around, come back for the second half, throw in some questions if you are so inclined. Can be about what we just talked about, or it can be about anything else under the sun, within reason. Make it geeky, and we'll be right back. time. We're back, everybody. It is time for the second half of tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show, and right now we head into the Next Generation segment, and Jason is going to regale us with another insightful and exciting dramatic review. Jason, what are you going to talk to us about tonight, sir?
So, I'm going to do a album review, and then I'm going to do an album ranking.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's ambitious.
Yeah, so I'm going to do, like...
I'll try not to interrupt you too much.
So, I'm going to do, like, a shorter review, because it's a shorter album.
I was going to say, don't take half an hour, because we want to do some Q&A.
Well, half an hour is as long as the album is, so I think I'm good.
Yeah, no, but you're going to rank at the same time?
Yeah, I'm going to do the review, and then I'll do...
Just a real quick ranking?
A real quick ranking.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to talk about the new Offspring album, Supercharged, which came out a couple weeks ago, and I was not very excited for this, because I have this thing where, starting with the 2000s, every other Offspring album is bad. So... Conspiracy is good and Splinter is bad, and then Rise and Fall is good, Days Go By is bad.
It was the opposite of how a lot of people feel about the TOS movies.
Yeah. And then I thought, personally, the latest album, Let the Bad Times Roll, was great.
And a lot of people don't agree with this. I bought it on vinyl. I liked it so much.
And so I was like, oh no, the next album's not gonna be good. This is just our curse. And like... It's not. I'm just gonna say, it's not great, but like it's not terrible. It's very meh. The new album is called Supercharged, and it has the... I really don't like this album cover. It has the most like put together they put it together in
It looks like a high school Photoshop job.
In like 10 minutes. It's not good. They just slapped their name into like a Metallica font generator and called it a day. And it's like... And they're trying to go for that kind of like 80s sound a little bit through this album, but...
You mean like their 80s sound?
No,
or just 80s hard rock or
80s
metal or
in general, they go all over the place. They just randomly do the riff from that Kansas song.
What was that?
Did you listen to it?
What is that song? Was it
Get Some?
Get Some? Yeah.
Come on and get some. Yeah.
I had read your review that you put on the Offspring Reddit before I heard the rest of the album. When you said that, I was really curious about it. I was like, where's that? And then when it showed up, I was like, sure enough, he's right.
Yeah. They just do the riff from Carry On My Wayward Son for like 2 bars, and then they just go back to the regular riff.
Is it an homage? Like, do they know they're doing it?
No, they know they're doing it.
Okay.
But it's an homage, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
And that song's also weird because in the verse, he just goes, It's like, what was that? Some of my favorite tracks were, The Fall Guy. I thought it reminded me of, Let the Bad Times Roll a lot. It was kind of a sequel to Army of One, felt like. Hanging by a Thread was a very, like, 80s hard rock type song that had a good riff, and it was my favorite song on that.
Yeah, the drum riff in that, if it's the same song, because I just finished it this afternoon, is that the song that has kind of a Metallica sort of drum riff?
Yeah, it does.
Like, the vocals aren't Metallica, that's old school Offspring, but a lot of the production and the and the drum stuff is real Metallica.
Yeah.
The percussion.
And then I liked Truth and Fiction, which...
that's the best track on the album.
Yeah.
It's too short, but I also get why it's that short.
It's too short, and it just steals the melody of Half Truism in the middle of the verse, where it just starts going da 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 da, and I'm like, okay. But it is good. It was like my second favorite song on the album, is how I put it. But
And yeah, it does just feel like, a couple of the best things on Smash again, but I liked it.
And Rise and Fall, and like, the problem is a lot of people didn't like the previous albums, so it felt like they had to really like try to like redefine themselves and be like, oh, we're not gonna go as hard this time, and we're not gonna swear at all this time, and we're just gonna be super happy, and that's what it felt like.
Well, do you mind if because this is just a follow-up to what you said. This will just piggyback really nicely. Do you mind if I give you my 1-sentence review of this album?
Sure.
It's the Offspring sampler.
Yeah.
This album is every Offspring album.
Yeah, it is.
You can track every song back to a specific album.
Yes.
And yes, they've got a track or two that sound like Green Day songs again, but so
last
Rise
track?
and Fall, so they're just doing Rise and Fall again when they do those.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like if you've never heard Offspring before and you want to know and you want to hear like every era of Offspring,
It
it's
feels like
just
Offspring
this
for
album.
children.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, and I don't even know if I agree with your whole thing about it being like too, happy-go-lucky, and there are some tracks that don't go to that place as much. To me, it's more it just doesn't really have a sound. Like
No, I don't think it really does.
If you take, I feel like we could do
it's just kind of this hodgepodge of different Offspring.
It's a hodgepodge. I feel like we could do an experiment where we go back and add songs to sorry, hopefully we're still broadcasting. I just lost my YouTube page here, but I think we're still on. I think we're good. I don't know what's happening here. I feel like we could do an experiment where we go in and we add the songs that remind us of different albums to that album.
Yes.
And what you're left with is no songs.
Yeah.
Because they just all belong on a different album.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I said in my subreddit post, in my Reddit post, because I did a big review of this after I first listened to it on the Offspring subreddit, and
that's really good writing, by the way.
Thanks. And I had a like song of like this Offspring song, but again for every song. I had that with almost every song. How did you feel about Come to Brazil?
I liked the sound of it fine. I don't know why they wrote that song.
Because that's a whole thing with Offspring.
Oh, okay.
They have a big Brazil fan base.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they just did a song about it?
Yeah. I didn't like the melody
Weird.
at all, but
I thought it was alright.
And I didn't...
I was just distracted by the subject.
And I don't know about...
why are we coming to
the
Brazil?
Ole Ole thing at the end.
I mean, Brazil seems cool, but...
But, yeah, I don't know.
Guys, I've got an error message on my side, so just let me know if you can't see or hear us real well right now. Thanks. Anyway.
But yeah, overall, it was just kind of middle of the road. Like, I probably won't listen to it as much as other Offspring albums, but, like, it was fine. Like,
it just felt like it just felt like an album that was with tracks that are meant to be put in a playlist and not to be listened together.
Yeah.
It's the least, like, album, of an Offspring album I've heard.
No, I actually agree. But yeah, I'm gonna do my Offspring album ranking now, and then we'll see where Supercharged is in these albums. And it's basically like, would I rather listen to Supercharged or...
Yeah, and I would have liked to have done this with you, but I'd have to go back through the whole discography because it's been a while.
Yeah, and
I've got those 3 or 4 that I go back to a lot.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, like, it's been a while since I've listened to, the first album, and I don't know Ignition that well, and...
I like Ignition, alright. Alright, so there are 11 albums, and my number 11 is Days Go By. Because that album sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks. I tried to go back to it for this segment.
That's 3 albums back now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the one after Rise and Fall, and the one before, the one we liked.
Let the Bad Times Roll.
Let the Bad Times Roll. That's right.
So it's just a Green Day album,
Yeah.
and like there's nothing special.
It hurts that it's also rushed so quick after the last album.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I don't know, you should have spent some more time on that because we didn't need one right away. Like, it came out too quick.
Yeah. And it has those couple songs that I just can't even go back to, like Cruisin' California.
I've only listened to that album once.
Bumping in my truck.
I disliked it so much.
Yeah, I tried to go back to it.
Folks in the comments right now are talking about a top just songs list in general. Austin's been wanting to do this for a long time. He wants the three of us to get together and do top 20 songs of all time. And now people are suggesting a community list.
Oh no. Okay.
And the idea of doing that for it could be any genre. I almost want to just keep it rock, but
okay,
whatever.
But it has to. But each thing has to be from a different band.
Well, I kind of like that.
Can we?
We'll talk about the parameters of it.
Yeah.
When we do it,
because that helps me if.
Yeah,
each song has to be by a different band.
No, I don't hate that.
Okay.
We'll talk to Austin and see how he feels about that,
Sure.
and then we'll do that regardless of what he says and make his mind up for him.
Sure.
I think is what we'll do.
Yeah.
But I'm just kidding. But yeah, Austin, let me know what you think about that.
My favorite song on Days Go By is Dirty Magic, which doesn't even barely count because it's a re-recording, but the rest of the album sucks. I love that song, so I just put that on there. And it's not even the best version of that song.
We'll go ahead and roll through these as quick as you can so that we can get. I mean, I'm sorry to rush you, but we're already 20 minutes after the hour, and we got to get to Q&A.
Sure. My number 10 is Splinter, and it's the album that came out after Conspiracy of One, and it's just not great. It has this weird hodgepodge of different stuff.
I forget what the single was off that. I feel like it's got a couple of okay tracks.
Hit That is all right.
Well, Hit That doesn't even sound like an Offspring song. That's what's weird about it. Like, that was huge on the radio. I heard it constantly when I was delivering pizzas, and it was like a year, or no, when I was working at a movie theater, and it was a year before I even realized that was Offspring.
Wow. Yeah, I said that was my favorite song on Splinter, so yeah. And then it has that weird thing at the end where it's like, when you're in prison.
When you're in prison.
Okay, and then this is where I put Supercharged at number 9.
Well, at least it wasn't right at the end.
Yeah, I found it to be better than Splinter, just as a whole. I would rather listen to it than Splinter.
I think I agree with that as the place for that.
Yeah.
Not knowing what else is on your list, but or where everything ranks.
So this is a big jump, but not my number 8 is Ignition. Ignition to Supercharged is a huge jump. Ignition is great.
And so you're going, now the rest of these are all quite good.
Yeah, Ignition has some great songs on it. My favorite track, I just listened to this for the first time a couple weeks ago. I had never listened to it.
Where does that fall in the order?
It is right after Self-Titled and right before Smash.
That's what I thought.
So it's their second album.
What do you think of the production on that, though? That's still a little garage bandy, is it not?
It is. Yeah, so with their first album, everything seems far away, and then with Ignition, the background seems closer up, and then his vocals seem more far away.
Okay.
That's what they kind of do. And my favorite track on this is LAPD, and that's probably because I'm a big Rage Against the Machine fan, and they just made a Rage Against the Machine song. So, and
I forgot about that.
Followed by Dirty Magic.
Okay.
And then my number 7 is Ixnay on the Hombre. And I like this album alright. It has some songs that are just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And it has those couple tracks that are like really, really good songs and don't fit on that album because like it just kind of makes the rest of the album feel like such a slog, and it's like randomly Gone Away, you know, and then just another filler song, and then
Yeah.
All I Want.
And
like,
I think
this
I
is
agree
crazy.
with you that Gone Away doesn't sound like it belongs on that album.
Yeah.
And All I Want is one of their best songs. Like,
And it just
I know
doesn't...
that was I know that was a huge single and it's an obvious song, but that's Crazy Taxi, right?
Yes. All I Want is Crazy Taxi. And
Which was my introduction to Offspring.
And my mom and I were listening, because we're listening through the Offspring discography right now, and we're like in the middle of Ixnay right now.
You know what I can't deal with? Mota! Isn't that album?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I love that song.
I hate. And it's got the two most irritating songs back to back. Mota! Just stop saying that. That could be my rant today. Mota! Stop it!
But yeah, I think she made a good point where she said that if you have listened to Smash first, Ixnay's not a great album. But Ixnay is like a good like starting Offspring album, and then you get into their actual like good stuff. Like Ixnay is a good like Offspring album.
It feels like there's 2 or 3 tracks that didn't make the cut
Yeah.
for Smash that then wound up on Ixnay.
Yeah.
Because All I Want should have been on that album.
It should have.
It feels like. Now, that's probably not fair. They probably wrote it after that.
Yeah.
Mota! God.
Wow.
Shut up.
My number 6 is The Offspring. Their first album. They're self-titled.
Wow, you put that like in the middle?
Yeah. I really like it.
Wow.
It's a great album.
It's just not super melodic, which is what I like about them. So it feels like
That's
such a
fair,
proof of concept
but
kind of thing.
it's more melodic than Ignition. So, and I get more songs from this album stuck in my head than other Offspring albums.
Oh, weird. Okay.
I get Jennifer Lost the War stuck in my head a lot.
That is a good song.
I love so.
And
Jennifer
doesn't it
Lost-
open with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lost the War is my favorite song, followed by Beheaded.
I don't even remember that track. I'll have to go back to that.
Yeah, it is graphic.
I listened to some of that album recently.
Yeah, you showed me it for the first time, and I was like, "Ow!" Or ow.
I was like, ow!
I was like, "Wow, this is actually
This
pretty
album's
good."
great, Dad, but why'd you hit me in the face with it?
My number 5 is Conspiracy of One. This is their first 2000s album, and it feels like a sequel to Americana.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yep,
yeah,
I've always said that too.
It's very
Is it just after Americana
yeah,
also?
it's just after.
They're back to
Americana.
back.
So it's that early 2000s like well, actually no, it's the year 2000.
If you play them together, it sounds like a double album.
It does. But what did I say for my favorite on this? Million Miles Away.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Great song. Followed by Come Out Swinging, which is a great first track.
Is that album where Feelings is?
No, that's Americana.
Oh, okay. Because that's one of my favorite. That's probably my top 3.
Yeah.
Feeling. And then where is Falling?
That's also Americana.
That's Americana. Okay. Yeah.
That's the first track on Americana.
Well, that's probably, if I'm ranking it, that's probably my number 2 then.
Sure. And then
anyway.
Smash is near number 1.
Yeah. But like, who doesn't put Smash at number 1?
So my number 4 is Let the Bad Times Roll.
You're gonna not put Smash at number 1, and I'm gonna be like, what kind of Offspring fan are you? But anyway, sorry.
My number 4 is Let the Bad Times Roll.
Okay.
Yeah. I still go back to it. I get why people don't like it, but like,
I don't even think I'd put it quite that high, but I like it a lot.
It is short, but I like a lot of the tracks on it. So
Is it the big complaint people have is it's just too short?
yeah. And the complaint that a lot of people
And people don't like We Never Have Sex Anymore, but I think that song's great.
Okay, so the complaint that a lot of people have with that album is they waited like 10 years for it, and it was half an hour, and a third of it was tracks that already existed.
There's a context. Yeah, because I hadn't heard anything off that.
We Never Have Sex Anymore was already existed.
Oh.
And so did Coming for You, I think.
Were they demos or different versions, or was it exactly that track?
That track, and then they just put it on that album.
Oh. But I love the jazz horn work in that song.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
No, I do like that song a lot.
And it's just a really funny, like, middle-aged ballad, like, wishing you could get back to your glory days. Like, I think that's hilarious.
I find it to be a better Offspring sex song than She Ain't No Ball and Chain.
Mota!
And then my number 3 is Rise and Fall, Raging Grace.
See, I wouldn't put that high. But...
I really like this album. I like this album a lot better than you. It was
half of it's a Green Day album.
It was yeah. But like, I don't know. Like I like Christy, Are You Doing Okay? I don't know.
No, I like that song a lot too, actually. Even though it is kind of a Green Day song.
Yeah, it is.
No, I do like that song. I just don't know if I like that it's an Offspring song and then it's with the rest of those tracks.
Sure.
Christy, are you doing okay?
Yeah, so you seem to play this a lot when I was younger. So this was one of the Offspring albums that I really grew up with.
Oh, there you go. It's nostalgic for you. See,
my-
then they made a better album, and now I play that.
And my favorite album, or my favorite song from this is Takes Me Nowhere.
Well, yeah. Isn't that track 3? Isn't that...
I think 4.
Isn't that more evidence for my track 3 thing?
I think 4.
I have this theory lately that the best track on most albums is track 3.
Yeah, I think track 3 is, I can't remember what it is. It's that one word song that's not Beheaded.
I guess I can find out.
My number
I've
2
got Spotify
is
open right
Americana.
I said let's not make this half an hour, and now it's going to be half an hour. But
My
that's
number
all right.
2 is Americana.
Americana.
Welcome to Americana.
A lot of my favorite stuff's on that album.
It's a great album. It's a great album. Feelings is my favorite Offspring song of all time. And it has...
Oh, no, Trust in You is the second track, and You're Gonna Go Far Kid is the third track.
Oh,
track,
okay. And then what's the...
Takes Me Nowhere is 5.
What's 4?
No, Takes Me Nowhere is 6. 4 is Hammerhead.
Hammerhead. I couldn't think of Hammerhead. I was thinking of Beheaded, which is also head, you know. But yeah, Americana, I really like Feelings. I really like Staring at the Sun, and it has a great title
Is
track.
there a weak link? I mean, I like...
No, I don't
I mean, I
think
guess
so.
Walla Walla is whatever, but yeah.
I like Walla Walla.
And why don't you get a job? Makes me laugh, but I don't know if I needed that.
Why Don't You Get a Job is great.
No, why don't you get a job?
Away. I don't really like Uno Dos Tres Cuatro Cinco Cinco Seis, but like it's the thing that got them.
That's a huge song.
It's a huge song. I don't like it so much I can't even remember what the thing's called. Pretty Fly. And then my favorite album is Smash. It's the album that got me into Offspring, and I listened to it a lot when I was younger.
Most people consider that to be
CD.
the masterpiece, and it is. It just is.
It just is. There's not a bad track. There's just not, and it's a really good, like gateway from their like older stuff to their newer stuff. Like it's this really cool like middle of the road from like Ignition to Ixnay and Americana. Mm-hmm. Which I found really fun. So and it's got some of their best hits as well, with Come Out and Play and Keep Them Separated. Sorry, that's the same freaking song. With Come Out and Play and Self-Esteem.
No, that's like their Master of Puppets or something, where it's just kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Except maybe put Hit That on it, but or not Hit That. No,
Hit
don't
that
put
on Smash.
Don't put Hit That on Smash. No, the Crazy Taxi song.
Yeah.
All I Want could have been on that album.
Yeah.
But other than
And
that,
I think Beheaded could have been on that album too.
do you?
I think the 1999 version of Beheaded could have been on that album.
It's not in my head right now.
Yeah. It feels like it could have been a good first track too. Do.
Mata.
So yeah, that is my Next Generation segment.
That was great, Jason.
Thanks.
Thanks for that ranking. I enjoyed seeing where that was all going to be. I found the very end to be somewhat predictable, but in a correct sort of way. Yeah. It would have been difficult to take you seriously and continue the show with you if you didn't put Smash at number 1. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you did that. No, if you'd put Americana over Smash, that would have been respectable. I could agree with that. Or I'd not agree with that, but I could respect that.
No, it's actually...
I don't think there's anything else.
It's actually Rise and Fall, Raging Grace.
You
is
put,
my favorite
you put
Offspring album.
Ixnay first, and I'd be like, I don't know.
Mata!
Okay, so let's move on to some Q&A. Throw in some questions, super chat or otherwise, and we've got a couple super chats already. We will do 1 or 2 Patreon questions, probably if we don't get a bunch of new questions from you guys live. We'll do about 25 minutes of this, and then we'll do some rants. And I'll try not to be too long-winded since we let Jason take his time on Offspring. Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
That was great, though.
Thanks. We're gonna do super chat first. We got a $5.99.
Actually, before you do that,
$5.
let me finish. Let me finish that off real quick by asking you this question.
Yeah.
What would your reaction be if you opened Supercharged on vinyl for Christmas?
Thanks.
Would it be like, eh? Like, would you play it much?
I would.
You would? Okay. I was just wondering.
I would. It's okay background music. I mean, I would have to switch to another album halfway, or in half an hour, but, you know.
I mean, being a big Offspring fan, you probably wouldn't mind just having the discography.
Yeah.
But
I want Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
And maybe Conspiracy, because those are the two albums that they have on vinyl.
Yeah. Smash will have to get a re-release at some point. Anyways, we're good.
We got a $5 super chat from GGG.
Thanks, man.
If the Superhero Rewind movie...
We still can't say your username, but thank you.
If the Superhero Rewind movie is a superhero movie, does that mean that you have to review it?
Is that a Patreon question? Is that,
yeah.
People keep asking me. This is like the third or fourth time I've been asked this question. And I think last week or the week before.
I think so, yeah.
We were asked this question. Was it maybe even a Patreon question? And the answer to that question is I can't actually answer it, and you'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
That is the actual answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't actually answer that. You'd think I would just flat out say no, but I have to be cryptic about it.
Yeah.
And say technically no, but sort of maybe.
Well, that's giving too much away.
Is that giving too much away?
Yeah, you said technically.
Technically, okay.
That's not. That's giving too much away.
Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
No, you shouldn't have said technically.
I should not have said that.
I should not.
Anyway.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
All right, we're going to do a super chat. A Patreon question from Damon Bigay.
You can't do super chats in Patreon.
Sorry. Yeah, that's the whole point of Patreon is to give people money. I'm like a Phoenix Wright character.
Yeah, what is that about? Anyway, sorry.
It's like Edgeworth. Favorite horror short story. Make it more difficult.
Austin says you're spoiling everything. I kind of am. I'm kind of spoiling it. I'm really bad at this. Anyway, go ahead.
You're worse than Tom Holland. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently.
Favorite horror short story. Make it more difficult. Not a story by Stephen King. Lol.
So, Damon, I'm sorry to say you've kind of stumped me on this one, because I'm just not a big enough horror guy to have read very much horror short fiction, and I hate to say, like, in college I was very much a short fiction guy and what I like to write. I've not read enough short stories just in general, and I've been trying to get back into some reading lately, and I've been thinking maybe I'll start down a rabbit hole of short fiction, because I don't have a lot of time to get through novels, and I find myself reading the first few chapters of a book and then forgetting about it because I'm busy, and then by the time I get back to it, I go, oh no, I don't remember what happened, and I have to start over. And so it'll take me like 3, 5, 6 months sometimes to finish a book, just because I keep starting over.
Yeah.
And I hate that, and I need to carve out specific time for it. So that makes me think maybe it's time to finally, delve more into short fiction.
Well, will you be surprised that I have a answer for this?
Do you actually have an answer for this?
Yeah, I do.
And I've got a volume of H.P. Lovecraft, and I've got stuff. I just haven't read a ton.
I'm gonna say Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, if I had to say anything, it would probably be a Poe short story, because I read some of that stuff in high school.
Yeah.
But
that's like the only horror short stories I've read is Poe, but whatever. I at least have an answer.
I liked Count of Monte Cristo, but it's been forever.
Yeah. And
I think I actually said I think I had a lump in my throat and I said Crisco.
Crisco.
Yeah.
Count of Monte
Crisco.
Costco.
Count of Monte Costco.
Yeah. And I like what is that called? William whatever the heck that's called. I like that one with the mirror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 5 super chat from Patrick Hogue. it really feels like James Gunn's production structure for the DCU is going to be the test to see if it's the newest thing for Hollywood to copy.
Maybe so. In what way? Like the idea of it's all technically in the same universe, and there'll be some cross pollination, and they'll talk to each other, but they'll all have like dramatically different and disparate like tones and looks and feels.
Or the fact that it's an already realized universe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Even if it's really super successful, I don't know if I agree that you'll see very many companies attempt to copy it beyond just the basic notion still of a shared universe, because that has not been the hot ticket Hollywood thought it would be, just because hardly anybody's been able to replicate it.
Yeah.
Right? So you've had some smaller successes, but you haven't had anything, be MCU. And the fact that DC failed at it so royally, like Godzilla, are they calling that the MonsterVerse? Or is that, yeah. That's probably the next most popular one, and they're really few and far between. Like, they don't come out very often. They haven't oversaturated it. Like, Godzilla finally got a TV show on that, but that's about it, right? And so that has felt more like it's technically a shared universe, but that has felt more like a franchise where occasionally we just pivot and we either let the next one be somebody else's movie, or we blend the things we had already. And then if that's successful, we're just stuck making only those crossover movies moving forward. You know what I mean? So that's been a little bit different. But the attempt at a Universal Monsters shared universe has, fallen apart. Like, that didn't really work. And there've been like some that have worked okay to varying degrees, but
did they actually try to do that?
Yeah,
really,
with that terrible Mummy movie everybody hated.
Oh, that was supposed to be a shared universe.
Yeah, it sure was.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so I don't know if, just because it's so specific, I don't know if shared universe, but with several movies a year and also in a bunch of different media that are in the same world, but they all feel different. Like, that seems like a really specific mission statement to me, right? Like, you got to start with, can we even make a shared universe work in the first place?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
We need like a huge...
Now, if it's popular, will more companies attempt shared universe again in whatever fashion? Possibly. If you've got two that are actually functioning at the same time. But you may not have two that are functioning at once. You might see Marvel crash and burn even harder after Secret Wars. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or before then.
Yeah.
Like, if... Because I'm telling you, if Fantastic Four doesn't work, you could see people really turning on them. And there are folks that are seeing Fantastic Four as more of a one-off thing that is not the be-all, end-all. But it's the last big original, going back to the start thing besides X-Men. Like, I don't know. If that totally crashes and burns, but they manage to nail X-Men, do they have even, like, yet one more lifeline? Like, one more attempt to get back, above the surface while they're drowning, even if their new big Avengers movies don't work out? I mean, maybe, but Lord, that is asking your audience to touch the electric fence a bunch of times.
Yes. Jurassic Park shared universe. Let's go. We're gonna do another Patreon question. Justin Hayes. Oh, Bag Studios. Okay.
Yes, that's Bag. Hi, Bag.
In your best Jerry Seinfeld. Oh gosh, I have to do with Jerry Seinfeld. Okay.
What's the deal?
Yeah. What's the deal with all good things? I've heard you say it doesn't pass muster for you, but I think it's only been in passing.
Yeah. So all good things.
I like all good things a lot.
Is just a bridge too far conceptually. The time anti-time thing. So this is the last episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So spoilers for the finale of that show. The gimmick of it is really fun, and like going full circle and going back to the pilot and playing around with with the time travel, the Q anti-time future, playing around with the idea that with just how different that show is at the end than it is at the beginning. It has this real, like, look how far we've come kind of motif, and I like that a lot. It's some of the best Delancey performance in the show. I think Stewart is really great in it. It's got a very like Saturday morning cartoon sort of premise, and
yeah,
it's maybe, I've never had this thought before, it's maybe poetic and kind of ironic in its way that the story in that with Q's anti-time future and the past, like the singularity being bigger in the past and all of that, kind of doesn't make any sense at all. And neither did Farpoint. Like, I don't actually really know what's happening in it with a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like, it makes a little bit more sense than Farpoint. But the idea that Picard is to be blamed for causing the thing to happen in the first place, but it's not a moral choice in any way. It doesn't really speak at all to the like maturity of humanity and all the reasons that Q puts humanity on trial in the first place. That's always been my problem with it, is that the whole thing is too much of like a technical mistake. There's nothing meaty and heady to think about with it.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
And it plays it like there is.
Yeah.
That's what I never really cared for with that. But it's fun, you know, and it looks pretty good for a finale.
Yeah. I think it's the best Star Trek finale.
It's not, but that's only because you haven't seen the end of DS9. And that's got its issues too, certainly. But it's a really nice send off for that show once you get to the end of it. And so is All Good Things. Like that last scene is classic and one of the like great series enders.
Yes. I do think
with Picard finally joining the poker game, like, that's lovely. That's just wonderful. The problem with it is you don't want to ever see those characters again.
Yes.
And they're immediately going into... In fact, they're making that in Generation simultaneously. I don't know if you know about that. It's kind of amazing that All Good Things even holds together as well as it does, given that they are in the middle of writing and prepping for Generations while they're making that. Like, they go immediately into that feature.
Yeah.
That comes out the summer All Good Things premieres. I mean, it's crazy that they had to rush all of that the way they did.
Wow. They just should have never made TNG movies. They should have stopped at Star Trek V, honestly.
I mean, I'm glad we have First Contact.
Yeah.
Because if for no other reason than it created a wonderful aesthetic for DS9. Like right after that. I love those uniforms.
Yeah.
There's just this kind of like, you know, pivot in the tech and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and here's a question: do you think Seven?
Well,
DS9
and Voyager, because obviously they don't immediately, or they don't go to those uniforms, but like the Borg and stuff, that has a big influence on.
But I have a question for you.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you think 7 of 9 exists if First Contact does not exist?
No.
Yeah.
It's possible. Well, I guess it's possible something like that happens. But I don't know if Braga would have thought of it if it weren't for the popularity of that movie.
Yeah.
Now, they were always going to deal with the Borg somewhere in that show because they're in the Delta Quadrant.
Yes.
Like,
but the way in which they deal with the Borg is different.
And it becoming kind of the Borg show the way it does?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, First Contact did give us basically the Borg show. Like, that's cool.
Well, and a lot of people didn't like the Voyager became the Borg show, but 7 of 9 is my favorite Star Trek character.
I like
the
Voyager became the Borg show because I like I like the good Borg episodes.
God, it's sure too bad we could have never had my two favorite Star Trek characters in the same show. God, that's a pipe dream that I'll just never see realized. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, realized correctly.
That was sarcasm, folks. Yeah, okay.
Realized correctly.
Meaning that it's not just those actors playing characters of the same names,
Sure.
but in fact, actually those characters.
Actually, those characters, yeah, that is still a pipe dream.
Cinematographic, it could have stopped after First Contact, yeah, and I guess it should have, but we're only saying that retroactively. I mean, obviously, we wanted more cool TNG stuff after that. Insurrection or Nemesis should have been a Q movie.
Yeah, no,
It was just a big mistake never to do that.
Yeah,
That's what everybody wanted after First Contact.
yeah,
I don't know what it would have been, but
yeah. Now, what do you think is the best? Do you think DS9 has the best pilot?
yes, hands down.
I agree. Like, I do really like the Enterprise pilot.
Now, I will say, and maybe this is blasphemy, because obviously much of the time when we're talking about Star Trek, we're just talking about everything up to new track. I will say, as unhappy as I was with a lot of the second season, Strange New Worlds has a pretty kick-ass pilot.
It does.
Overall.
Yeah.
Despite certain reservations that I had with that. It's in there, in the running now. Like, it's a pretty good pilot.
Yeah. And I like the Enterprise pilot, okay.
Well, the Enterprise pilot is in the top 5 episodes of that show.
Yes.
But that just goes to show how not great that show is overall.
I mean,
But you like that show a lot better.
I have more favorite episodes than 5, but
it is one of the at least 10 best episodes of that show.
I have more favorite episodes than 10. No.
But like First Flight beats it, Regeneration probably beats it.
Yes.
In a Mirror Darkly maybe beats it.
Yes.
I like that
In a Mirror Darkly
episode a lot.
You said Regeneration.
Regeneration. I just showed Freddie that the other day. He really liked it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. He was so confused. He was like, "How could there be Borg?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Why are they flying around in a freighter and not a cube?" I'm like, "Because they're assimilating the freighter because they don't have their technology there."
I'm one of those people that really likes Enterprise for the sole reason that it's just really fun. It's not good, but it's like I would rather watch it than Bad Voyager.
Oh, sure.
You know? Because Bad Voyager just isn't fun. And in the same way that I think Enterprise is.
Okay, but Enterprise, we'll get past Star Trek here in a second. A lot of people aren't going to care about this conversation. Maybe we should do a Star Trek theme show like we did Power Rangers.
We should.
So that, 3 people will show up. And...
Yeah. We'll do a commentary with that, too.
Well, then it'll just be an episode of Star Trek Club, which we haven't done in a long time.
Yeah, but with questions.
Oh, I see.
I'll give you Star Trek trivia and...
Questions.
And yeah, you'll get every single one of them because you know Star Trek.
But no, I was just going to say Enterprise... The only problem with what you said is that there are some really dull, mediocre Enterprise episodes that are dull in the same way that mediocre Voyager episodes are, particularly in first season, and I avoided showing you those, and you've not just done a watch of it. And if you just did a watch of it, you would have a different opinion on this. Because you probably haven't even seen half that show.
I have not seen second season.
Have you watched through first?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We did a whole review on it.
I forgot all about that.
I've seen season 1.
I forgot we did that.
I'm
sorry we never got back to that because we were reviewing. Well, we could. Right. We go back and do 2.
The most mediocre episods.
Try to make any sense of that finale or into 1 to 2 at all. You can't do it. It's not possible. What is that called? It's not in my head right now.
I don't remember.
It'll come to me. But anyway.
But no, I mean I like the episode where Trip becomes pregnant. I don't know. That's funny. And like I actually do like so I'm actually not really in a Star Trek mood.
Yeah, I know. I'm having to kind of pivot my brain.
Who's Trip's friend?
What, Reed?
Yeah, Reed. Thanks.
What, Shut Up on 1?
No. Or maybe it is Trip. The episode where they get stuck on the planet and then Trip becomes like he starts hallucinating. And he becomes a crazy person.
Oh, that's like the 2nd or 3rd episode. That's terrible.
I really like that episode.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, apologies. I hated that when it was on. I was like, oh boy, if this is what the show's going to be.
But yeah, I also like Where No Man Has Gone Before. That's a good pilot.
Yes. No, it is.
Yeah, like...
And the Cage is a great pilot.
If we're saying that's a pilot.
But the Cage is almost more like a movie.
Yeah.
The thing with Enterprise... Sorry, we'll move on from Star Trek, I promise. The thing with what you said, though, about Voyager having, like... It's bad episodes are boring... Yeah. Enterprise, and it's weird because it's a prequel set 200 years earlier. You know what I'm going to say, right? Enterprise is more Voyager with a different name in exactly the same way as Voyager is more TNG with a different name.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree.
It just is.
Yeah.
Like, they almost conceptualized it that way. Like, well, that's not fair. They conceptualized Enterprise to be much closer to what I would have wanted a prequel show to be, and they weren't allowed to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I wish they could
That was
have
supposed
had...
to be much more of a real early explorer show, in exactly the same way as Voyager was supposed to be a lot more of a stranded in space show.
Oh, okay.
Like, you can't blame the creators for some of the not as creative stuff that happened with the way those shows were conceptualized, but they still probably could have been better even within those restrictions than they were.
Yeah.
But I sympathize
Yeah.
with Berman and Braga.
Yeah.
With that.
Oh, Austin's already working on a song list.
Yeah, he was saying that. Okay, we got maybe 5 more minutes to answer questions, and we spent too long on Star Trek. But do you see anything else that folks want to talk about? You have any pre-writtens?
Yeah, let's do pre-written.
Let's do a pre-written.
Let's try to say pre-written. I have a question from Dan's Den.
Yeah.
Who's a superhero? I'm gonna say this
Batman.
I'm gonna say this. I'm
This
gonna
is a really
say this.
easy question. Do we just have to list superhero?
I am going to say this verbatim because how he said it is funny.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who's? WHOSE.
Okay. Who's
a superhero? Sorry. Who's a super?
Don't make fun of the man's spelling. Just read the question.
Who's a
This is unprofessional. Do I need to read it?
No.
You're fired.
Yeah, sorry. Who's a superhero? I just can't.
Is this your rant?
Yes.
This is Jason's
I
rant.
can't say anything without breaking up. Who's a superhero? What could?
This is not fair.
Okay, who's a
wrote
superhero that
this?
would make for
Who
a
wrote
good
this?
video game?
Who wrote this?
Dan's Den.
Dan's Den. I'm sorry that my son is laughing at you, and I'm laughing at him laughing at you, not at you.
Who's a superhero could make
I'm going to proofread your questions
for a great video game? Who's a superhero that would make for a good video?
Oh, we answer this all the time,
Yeah.
but you know, it's hard.
Good.
It's hard not to immediately go to it's stupid. We've never had a great Superman game. We always bring that whole thing up. What would be like the Rocksteady thing that you would have wanted after Batman? Green Arrow is one of the obvious choices.
Oh, sure.
People wanted that engine in similar fight mechanics, but with the Flash, where you're basically fast traveling everywhere.
I don't. I was gonna say I don't really like the idea of Flash.
You don't want a Flash game?
No. What are some good Marvel characters that we could do?
Well, I was gonna say.
I mean, an open world tech game.
Oh, an open world tip game would be awesome, and where it keeps track of all the damage you've done to buildings.
Yeah.
And then maybe you Oh, here's a fun idea. It's either I've never had this thought before. It's either like co-op, where Tick and Arthur do different things. Or you can switch between Tick and Arthur.
Yeah.
And Arthur has to clean up Tick's messes. So if you cause a lot of property damage, Arthur has to figure out a way to pay for it. You can do things like that.
With his credit card.
And that could be pretty great.
Yes.
I've never thought about that before. But yeah, open world is precisely the right way to go with that.
Yeah.
You make it sort of like the open world Simpsons game they made, where you have that whole town.
Yeah.
You have that whole
Hit and run.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, no, there's
finally...
like a PC game where you can. There's a couple of Simpsons games I think that do not just driving around in cars, but
right.
But yeah, I was also going to say, and this is indulgent, these are the obvious things you'd think I would say, but we've also never had a good Powerpuff Girls game, and that also should probably be open world.
No, we haven't. We've had nothing but terrible Powerpuff Girls.
And how hard is that?
Yeah.
That should be
easy to make. And an open world Power Rangers game that's actually good and not Dino Thunder.
Yeah, that would also be fun.
That would be fun.
But yeah, you said Marvel things.
Yeah, Marvel things.
I've always wanted a Marvel Zombies game. I've said that before.
Oh, sure.
And again, maybe open world, but make it really scary.
Mm-hmm.
But where you get to actually be the zombies and you're eating people, and make it just real hard R and edgy and stupid, and stupid in the right way.
Yeah.
But that'd be fun.
Yeah.
What else comes to you? You want a standalone Cassandra Cain game, probably.
probably do. Well, I mean, it's always, if it's a video game, it's a Cassandra Cain spoiler game.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
Oh, actually, you know,
It's
I
a
mentioned
Batgirl
Green
spoiler.
Arrow. Throw Black Canary in that,
sure.
and there's your co-op for that.
And Red Arrow.
Yeah,
I like him.
and that'd be cool too.
Oh yeah, AMC Teen Titans.
You know, this is an off-the-wall notion, and I'm not even into these kinds of games. You could do this as a phone game, or you could do it as a legit, you know, maybe not AAA game, but like console thing, maybe like a budget thing. But you could do like a tycoon type game. Maybe it wouldn't be exactly that genre, but something sort of like that, where you play as Oracle,
Sure.
and you have to, and so you're not,
Oracle Tycoon.
yeah, and you're not actually
awesome.
you're not actually being the superheroes, but you're giving them missions and you're telling them where the bad guys are, and you have to feed them information so that they go to the right place at the right times and they don't die. And you're dealing with like maybe multiple superheroes all fighting different threats at the same time. That could be really cool.
Zordon Tycoon.
Yeah, I've never thought of that.
Oh my gosh. I want to make a Zordon Tycoon game where you can unlock Demetria.
No.
And you can unlock the guy from Megaforce.
Okay, look, we just did Power Rangers last week. Okay.
I know.
But
I was trying to think of good Power Rangers games.
Good Power Rangers games.
Yeah.
Make a game called Make My Monster Grow, and you get to be the villains.
Oh.
You flip it, you go the other way,
Sure.
and you're sending. That could also be a tycoon, but it could just be, you know, like a. It could be a game where you send the threats down.
We literally just got a Power Rangers Tycoon game. What am I talking about?
That's what I was going to ask you. But anyway, so you send down the monsters, and then you get to be the monsters.
Yeah.
And like you decide what you send down.
Yeah.
And you have to come up with plots.
We need a Lego Fantastic Four game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can play as Fantastic Four characters in some of the Marvel Lego games, but it is a little curious that we haven't had more MCU Lego.
Yeah. We got Lego Avengers, which was very fun.
But it'd be cool if they would just make an MCU, like a really sprawling MCU game.
Yeah.
Where you play like, you know, some of the better movies.
Yeah.
Like maybe not all 30 whatever of them, but you know, some
and
of
all
the
Disney
highlights.
Plus shows.
Oh my god, no. But I like some of the Lego games where
DLC baby.
you play even not great movies.
Yeah.
Like in the Jurassic Park Lego game, Jurassic Park 3 is some of the most fun stuff in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I hate that movie or anything, but
Nope. You get to do the Lego Ant-Man and the Wasp.
oh my god, I fell asleep while you said that.
You get to fight against Ghost. It's gonna be awesome.
And then when you get to the Lego version of Thunderbolts Asterisk, you get to be Ghost.
Yeah. And then you get to Lego Thor Ragnarok, and you fight against Lego Hulk with the thingy thing, with the axe.
And then they play that song. Like,
oh yeah, that was the big song with that movie, wasn't it?
yeah, and they sold it because they were just capitalizing on Guardians humor. They sold it like it was going to be Guardians, and then that was the song. They didn't have other
it was just
other incidental popular songs.
Oh,
it was just
it's
that song.
Thor, get it? Because it's Thunderstruck.
Did it take you this long to figure that out?
I don't like AC/DC.
Iron Man's not even in that movie. Like, that's the other reason it's sort of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because like AC/DC was Iron Man's thing.
Oh, that's true.
And so it's a little
they did Back in
odd.
Black and
It's a
as
little
well.
odd they did.
Back
Well, yeah,
Black
and
yeah.
they did like multiple tracks in the first two movies.
Yeah,
they
that's
kept
true.
using AC/DC, and then it's a little odd
That's weird.
that they use it in a movie he's not in.
Yeah.
I just had that thought. Okay, we are at 2 hours. Let's do rants real quick.
Yeah, let's do.
Would you like to go first this time?
I'll go first this time.
I'll try not to interrupt your rant too much. I'm really bad about that though.
You are. That's my rant.
It's a good rant.
Are you gonna gong my rant? Okay. You haven't even heard it. You don't even know if it's good or rant.
You don't even know why I gonged it.
That's my rant.
Could have been a good gong. Could have been a
Why
bad
did you
gong. I don't know. Because
Okay.
you said it. I don't know.
Am
Am I not allowed to gong?
Yes, you are actually. It was very nice of you.
It's my gong. Deal with it. Sorry, go ahead.
Bong. Okay. My rant is about
That sounded more like the Netflix opening. Like, they like slightly changed it recently.
Oh yeah, now it's like
They made it really complicated.
My Little Netflix.
No one knows what you're talking about.
I know.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So my rant is about trucks. My rant is about
Strap in, folks.
My rant is about pickup trucks and why they.
Austin says Thunderstruck isn't in Thor. Oh, is that not what that song is? I was just going with Jason. What is that song?
You were the one that said it in the first place.
No, I did. I was just humming that note. But is that not Thunderstruck? I can't remember what that is. Austin, what is that song?
I mean, that song is Thunderstruck, but
isn't that the song that's in that movie though?
I thought it was.
I thought it was
at least
too.
In the trailers.
Or is it just in the trailer and not in the movie?
Might just be.
I don't know, Austin. What the hell am I talking about? Can you tell me what I'm talking about? Because I don't know. Go ahead, Jason. I can't wait for the truck rant.
So.
Immigrant song, is that what it is?
My truck.
I don't even know. Whatever. We just wasted everyone's time with that.
Okay.
We can't even do that rant now. It's apparently not even valid or accurate.
So my rant about trucks. It's about how pickup trucks don't look the same anymore, and they decided to think it was cool to have.
You don't even have a driver's license.
They decided to think it was cool to have double wheels in the back of pickup trucks. So most pickup trucks have like 2 wheels and then like 4 wheels in the back, right? It looks stupid because it's not like a full thing. Now it goes out, and so like if you're looking at like the back of the truck, it's like really wide for no reason, and it's stupid.
This is your rant.
Yes. I've literally ranted about this for a year.
You just don't like what double wide wheels look like in the back?
Yes, double wide wheels on pickup trucks look dumb because it's like really wide.
But it gives you way better traction.
I would never drive that just because it doesn't it has a weird shape.
Oh, it is Led Zeppelin. God, I'm stupid. I mean, I knew that. But then I let you go to AC/DC and I just...
Yeah, because you went on.
Yeah. Anyway. It's not the song you were thinking of, though.
Oh. They actually... Now that I'm thinking about that, they actually sound really close.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I just momentarily forgot that it was that song and not the one that you were talking about.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's my rant.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's all you got? Okay, my rant is about a thing that I could have brought up in the news segment, but I decided to save it for now. So in the comic news that happened over the weekend, and I didn't look at a lot of it, and I'm just not in the comic scene right now, and things like this are partly why. So Jason, there's a big Marvel event happening next year.
Oh, cool.
I think it's next year. And, well, maybe not so cool, though.
Sure.
They gotta just milk everything for all it's worth.
Okay.
So we gotta take a really popular event that kind of ruined everything, and then in some ways made things cool, but I still wish didn't happen.
Clone Saga?
And then they gotta take the money milking event that spawned, and now sandwich them together. And so, Jason, what you get is... Hold on. I'm really building suspense here. So what you end up with after all of that is, of course... Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 5. No! Is, of course, Spider-Verse versus Venomverse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I am so done with comic crossovers. It's like... I'm just done with them. Like, there's no...
I'm just done with all the creative bankruptcy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But my rant isn't just... Who could possibly care? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't need to see all the different Spider-Mans with all the different Venoms fighting each other. No, my actual rant is... This is the laziest title I've ever seen for anything. It's also the laziest logo I've ever seen for anything. But I digress with that.
The spider is like the Stranger Things font.
So this could be a rant all by itself because I've never loved this, but it's a popular enough thing to do that I'm not going to dog on it right now. There are a lot of people that instead of verses when they when they put a title together will out loud say verse instead of verses. And if you say it like that, this is Spider-Verse verse Venomverse.
Oh.
And that's my rant is that you put the word verses between two titles with verse in them.
You should have said...
We're not even trying.
No, you should have said Spider-Verse Venom, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like Spider-Verse X Venomverse or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's... No, there's a clever way to put that together where you get the word verse in there one time, and I probably would still complain about it because I don't like the word verse being used for verses.
Yeah.
But still, you've got the word verse in there twice, and you put verses between
Do Spider-Verse v Venomverse.
Yeah, they could at least, kind of make a joke out of it and, dog on the other company for a second with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, even that would be better. But really? Spider-Verse verse Venomverse? I know. I just
that makes it even more of a money milking thing
that.
Because it's like we don't even care, so we're just gonna slap this together.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Is
verse.
This is how creatively bankrupt and out of ideas and just like fishing for whatever we think will sell 100,000 copies. And it probably will, just for collectors alone, going, well, I collect everything Venom, or I collect everything Spider-Man,
sure.
Whatever. And I used to fall in that. I mean, I had every issue with Venom in the title going up through 2018. So I bought all of Venomverse, and when that happened, I said I'm done, because I only read a few issues of any of that, and I went, well, this is about what I expected. You know what I mean? Where it's just a half-hearted gimmick. And if it was a full-hearted gimmick, it might have been fun. But it wasn't. It was just, well, we did it with Spider-Man, and Venom's popular, and it's got a movie right now, so of course we've got to do that. And now we got to sandwich them together, because Spider-Verse as an idea has become just what Spider-Man is now.
And it seems like...
Which I already hate.
Yeah. And, how much of...
what happens after this? Carnage verse? Is that where we're going?
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say? Black Cat verse?
Oh my gosh!
Kingpin verse?
Doc Ock verse.
But then the other thing they announced, because apparently they're just all symbiote everything right now. Maybe because they're trying to help Sony promote the last Venom movie, which, by the way, is this weekend, and we'll try to review it either Monday or the week after. I'm not sure when we'll get to it this weekend.
I'm excited,
but probably we'll try to review that on Monday. It might just be me and Jason. We'll see who else actually wants to come in on that. I haven't talked to Connor or Robert or in the usual suspects.
Hopefully Robert can come in because he can have his Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Redbox, and his Venom.
You think he bought that? You think Robert bought that?
Oh yeah, he buys everything.
But anyway, so Marvel has really just become a place to try out things to maybe do in movies and then also sell movies. As if MCU, even in the state they're in right now, MCU needs the comics to get people to go to the theater. But it's really just become all about adaptation in movies, and it's kind of sad, which is a lot of why I'm not keeping up with it anymore.
Austin says now we'll have the Morbin verse versus the Craven verse.
So that if you say it out loud, you're putting it out into the universe, and then it's gonna come to fruition at some point. It will gestate and then turn into a thing. But anyway, so you got to be careful wielding that power, Austin. But anyway, the other thing that they announced is, and this just makes no sense to me, and it's sad after Venom got a really great run and Eddie Brock finally became a more fleshed out, three-dimensional, interesting character with the Coates run. But apparently, Coates is Is that guy's name? Anyway, apparently Eddie Brock is going to finally become Carnage. I don't even see how those two things could bond. Kate's, not Coates. Pardon me. I don't know. I don't know how those two things could even bond. Like, they hate each other so much.
Yeah.
Like, how do you contrive that? And, like, maybe they do in some interesting way. There's a reason it's taken this long before we've tried that.
Yeah.
It's a dumb idea.
Yes,
now, you can make anything work, you just have to make it work, and I'll eat my hat if that ends up being great, and everybody tells me, oh, it's as great as Kate's. Like, it's a wonderful sequel to that. You gotta read Eddie Brock becoming Carnage. Like, the Anti-Venom thing was already odd, but kind of worked in its way. But, like, Eddie Brock being Carnage, that is a bridge too far.
Are you excited for Anti-Venom and Last Dance?
Oh, you know it. That only works. Well, I mean, nothing works in those movies. I was gonna say that only works if they actually separate the two and then they have Eddie Brock become Anti-Venom in that movie for a while. I kind of hope that's what happens, but I expect it won't.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Nope. Well, actually, I am.
We're gonna get their version of Null.
We need Flash Thompson from Homecoming.
Please, for the love of God, don't. Please, for the love of God, don't ruin Flash Thompson in those, because all I like a lot of Venom fans want is an Agent Venom movie, and like don't do that.
They need to do Flash Thompson from Homecoming to become Agent Venom.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people want that.
Yeah.
But
for me, it's a joke.
Yeah, I know. Well, and like I don't. Yeah, I think it is with that too, but I don't want that now. But anyway.
I do like Agent Venom, though. Actually, I haven't really read him, but I like his design.
Oh, you've got to read that stuff. You'd like it a lot.
Sure.
Well, anyway, on that, I hate ending on that note, but yeah.
Trucks.
Spider-Verse. Verse. Venom-verse. You know, the second issue of that should be called Second Verse, same as the first.
Yeah.
I hope they do that. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you again next Thursday night with another one. And it's going to be... Oh, is it Wednesday? Yeah. I'm sorry. It always used to be Thursdays. What am I talking about? Yeah. We'll be back next Wednesday night. Although we might end up... flipping next week. We were talking about maybe doing that for Halloween, or are we going to keep this on the same day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, do you want to keep it on the same day, or do you want to do it?
We'll let you know for sure. We've been back and forth on that.
Yeah.
We are going to do a Halloween show next week, and we're going to make it a call-in show next week.
Yeah.
So pop in and hang out with us. We'll be wearing costumes of some sort. I don't know what I'm going to wear yet. You have a Halloween costume.
I have a Halloween costume, so...
So we'll come in and do that next week.
You should be Captain Logan for Halloween.
And we may have a lead-in topic. I'll just show up like this. We may have a lead-in topic, or we may show up and do nothing but call in. But we'll see what happens. And we're gonna have kind of a slim week this week because I've been busy with movie stuff, and I've got a writers meeting on Friday. So Austin and I might be doing more Top 100 tomorrow night. It depends on how far I get in my my writing notes. And then Friday late, we're going to do a watch party, but not a rewind commentary this week because I just don't have time to prepare for one. So we're going to do... it's been a couple of years since we've done this. We're going to do another Treehouse of Horror watch party, and it'll be just a reaction stream. It'll be mostly episodes I've never seen. So that should be fun, and Austin's going to pick a lot of that. We might take some suggestions from the audience, but I'm going to let Austin kind of run point on that since he's the Simpsons guy, and then we'll see what ends up happening next week. I think it'll be not until November that we bring back the rewind commentaries. Sorry it's been a few weeks on that, but we'll be back with those soon. Like I said, I've had to take a little bit of time off with the movie, and we are likely to do a Halloween movie next week. Austin and I have been talking about Hellraiser, so that may happen next week. But anyway, in the meantime, I was Captain Logan.
And I was Jason.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye, folks. I just can't get to my music fast enough.